What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and we've got some movie news. If you'll remember, Dark Phoenix, the latest X-Men film released by Disney after purchasing Fox Studios, or Fox's rights to it, was a total and hilarious failure. The movie in and of itself reviewed very poorly, and the theater seats showed that. Now, interestingly enough, there's a lot of other things going on with Disney that I want to bring up because not even the launch of Galaxy's Edge or all of the Star Wars money is helping Disney as their stock plummets on horrible Q3 earnings. Are people growing tired of regurgitating old Disney movie classics like The Lion King? Yes. Are people interested in live action remakes of movies like Aladdin? No, they're not. If we look back, the movie itself scored a 23% from professional movie critics and just a 64% from hardcore fans. Now, I am someone who has long preferred the X-Men to Marvel's Avengers, but years of just terrible movies have completely broken my heart. Disney bringing them on board, it's hard to say if that's going to do anything, it's going to improve anything at all. My guess is that it will be absorbed into the Marvel era, and they'll have some crossovers and things like that. But if you remember, Dark Phoenix was exceedingly woke. It had many lines in it, like, why are they called the X-Men when the women are always saving the men? And other wildly uncomfortable lines that ran the fandom far away from this film. But also years of just bad X-Men films have also done that. Now, the Wolverine series, I thought, was excellent. One of my favorite story arcs, probably my favorite superhero as a kid. And the movies, including Logan, I thought were excellent. However, the earnings themselves do not bear that out. Now, before I get into that, and I'm so sorry, but I'm running out of time. There's only 5 days left now to back the Exclusively Games July fundraiser. I've added additional shirts. I've added additional rewards to help encourage people to back. I've also published a 10-minute video explaining all of what I plan to do, the shortcomings, where I've fallen short delivering this website, what's working, and what's in store for the next 6 months. I'm going to leave that linked in the description below if you're thinking about it. Please consider backing Exclusively Games today. It is a 100% apolitical, 100% non-profit website for gamers, by gamers. And if you don't even want to do that, make sure you at least check out exclusivelygames.com and sample exactly what we're offering here. We've got a forum with thousands of members. We've got thousands of articles, news pieces, editorials, op-eds. We've got a forum. We've got a Discord with thousands of members. If you want to help pitch in and keep the site rolling, I'm going to leave a link in the pinned comment below to the fundraiser, which only has a few days left. Now, I want to show you where this all started. Walt Disney stock down 6%, but you'll see the day they announced their earnings, August 6th, it absolutely plummeted from $142 down to about $133 per share. Had a brief recovery period, but then continued to drop. Why is that? Well, not only did Dark Phoenix completely tank in the theater, it lost the money. Double that by also the latest attendance numbers at Disney, despite the launch of Star Wars Galaxy Edge, is down. The overall decline in attendance at Disneyland was due to lower pass holder visitation, meaning people that have season passes aren't even bothering going. That is, people that have already paid for a Disney season pass don't even care about Galaxy's Edge. Now, a lot of people have said, well, it's because Galaxy's Edge isn't done yet and everyone's waiting. Nah, I don't think that's the case. If I have a season pass, I'll just go twice. I'll go once early, I'll go later in the year, whatever the case may be. Clearly, Disney has started to erode all of the Star Wars goodwill with many of their divisive marketing, which isn't even necessarily their fault. And aggressively mediocre Star Wars films, including films like Star Wars Solo, which was universally a snorefest. Attendance fell 3% at Disney's domestic theme parks despite the launch of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Disneyland, during the most recent quarter, according to the company's latest earnings, it reported an increase in theme park revenue for fiscal third quarter, though. Disney Parks experiences and product revenue increased 7% to $6.6 billion in the latest quarter, increasing spending on food and merchandise, or increasing the cost. Higher hotel occupancy and a hike in ticket prices. Oh, yeah, exactly. There was tremendous concern in the marketplace that there was going to be huge crowding when Galaxy's Edge opened. Some people stayed away just because they expected that it would not be a great guest experience. Sure, 3 people did. But I'm going to guess that if the hardcore Star Wars fandom, the people that go to opening showing of every movie, if they were really that excited about Galaxy's Edge, they would have went. Now, of course, much of the Star Wars fandom is what I would put in the normie category. The fans that don't read Twitter, the fans that don't read all these articles from like marysue.com, which talks about the fandom in a negative light. That's many. However, it is a not insignificant number of people that are well aware of how many of the journalists and including some of the actors and actresses in the Star Wars films feel about the fandom. Interest in the attractions and land is extremely high. We've no concerns whatsoever about them, Iger said. Well, of course, he's the CEO. We feel great about the product. Yeah, this is all talking to shareholders, of course, but that doesn't change. The fact that they increased 10% on higher admissions and things like that isn't necessarily a good sign. You're just milking the people that are there as it stands. You can see the park in and of itself is not drawing attendance. Then we look what happened to Avengers Endgame. Dark Phoenix. The summer Avengers Endgame, #1 box office cash cow of all time. 3 of summer's top 5 movies globally so far are Marvel movies: Endgame, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man. 6 of the top 10 opening weekend belonged to Marvel. Dark Phoenix was a giant failure. The movie had a worldwide box office haul of $252 million. It was such a failure that it lost Disney money for the third quarter. The movie starred Sophie Turner of Game of Thrones as well, and came out just 2 weeks after the hit show's series finale, and it still wasn't enough to save it. The movie was the lowest grossing X-Men movie ever. Think about that. In a time where the American population and the worldwide population are absorbing just about anything superhero related, regardless of whether or not they're interested in the film, nobody wanted to see this movie. In the Q3 earnings press release, which was the company's first full quarter after a $71 billion Fox deal closed, Disney said studio entertainment revenue grew 33%, for profit division grew 13%, thanks to an increase in theatrical distribution for games, hits like Endgame and Captain Marvel, meaning these movies are being seen in China and worldwide, and it's driving a lot more revenue, which also inflates the total revenue movies for today's films, which is also, in my opinion, what leads people like Disney and Marvel to lean more towards what the global market wants than what the Western market wants, which I suppose can't blame them. You can't blame them, but as a Western movie goer, the movies are more vanilla. There's no real stakes in them, and I'm not really interested in superhero movies anymore because of that. These improvements were partially offset by a loss from the 21st Century business, and a loss at the 21st Century was driven by the performance of Dark Phoenix, for which we also recorded the film cost and an impairment. It's important to note that Dark Phoenix is about a Marvel character, Jean Grey of the X-Men, but was a Fox-produced film. Similarly, Spider-Man Homecoming, blah, blah, blah. Disney did not make Dark Phoenix. It inherited it. Because of that, Disney bulls could argue that the movie's failure wasn't a stain on Disney, but it was certainly a financial burden. Disney and subsidiary Marvel films are clearly not backing off the superhero train. Last month, the company unveiled Phase 4 of the MCU, a kitchen sink of Marvel prequel movies, sequel movies, and spin-off shows for Disney Plus streaming service launching in November. Not interested in hardly any of them, to be honest with you. Disney blindsided by box office struggles, well below what they thought we would be. The brunt of the loss was placed on the poor performance of Dark Phoenix, which had a hefty production budget of 200 million, not including marketing, which is usually another 200 million, and grossed 65 million domestically and 250 million worldwide, meaning they probably lost more than 100 mil on this film. One of the biggest issues we faced in the quarter was performance of Fox film business was well below what it had been and well below what we thought it would be when we during the acquisition. The company had estimated 100 million in operating income from Fox Films the same quarter last year. It's hard to feel bad for Disney, though. The studio recently broke its own annual global box office record, about $8 billion. Yet Disney shares fell 4% in after-hours trading after the company reported earnings and revenue that fell short of Wall Street's expectations. To put it bluntly, there's mounting uncertainty within Fox, where it'll dangle near the limbo for more than a year, whether employees were waiting for the acquisition to close and waiting for orders to come down. Disney announced plans to buy the studio in December 2018, and the deal didn't close till March 2019. Fox theatrical business is one piece of the puzzle. However, though films released so far in 2019 have underperformed. There's plenty of Disney is excited about, with the concern to acquisition. Particularly, Iger said, the company's looking forward to leveraging the Fox library for its forthcoming Disney Plus service, and Disney has plans to reimagine Home Alone, Night at the Museum, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid for the platform. Well, you know who wouldn't love another remake of classic films from our childhood? I can't wait for the Home Alone movie to come out. Now, certainly there's a lot of viewer fatigue, but you can't all blame it. You can't blame it all on just superheroes in general. Spider-Man Far From Home did exceedingly well at the theater. Obviously, Marvel Endgame was the biggest movie of all time. Dark Phoenix, however, on the tail of several poor X-Men films, in addition to the combative nature of a lot of the marketing and a lot of what we saw with the, X-Men should be renamed and X-Men are saving the women all the time and all sorts of just terrible lines and terrible writing. I think ultimately that's more at fault for Disney's troubles this quarter. But you combine people don't care about the Star Wars theme park. People didn't care about Dark Phoenix. It seems like getting woke certainly won't make Disney go broke, but it is absolutely, in my opinion, having an effect on their bottom line. If they continue to divide the fandoms, if they continue to support actors and provide access journalism to writers who will continually divide the fandom against the movies they love in order for clicks, you can expect more of this in the future. I, for one, look forward to covering the next series of Marvel films, as I'm sure they will be full of hilarious moves like this. Ultimately, good movies get seen, bad movies get forgotten, but certainly Star Wars and X-Men and the Fox film series aren't drawing what they used to be, and getting woke isn't helping. I hope you enjoyed this film. We'll talk to you again real soon.